I'm sure there's a lot of fun things to learn. And right now, you should be able to, let me just make sure you can see my screen here. Slideshow. So we're going to talk about sleep. I know we're sort of tight on time, so we have 15 minutes. Let's jump right in. For context, I'm a sleep medicine physician, a pulmonary physician. I think in Singapore they maybe call them a respirologist, perhaps. Also a intensivist, a critical care medicine physician, and my baseline training is that of an internist. So I've had the opportunity to learn a variety of different things, and I've also been privileged to get to train with some of the most amazing people in the world. I did my residency at UCLA in California. I did my pulmonary critical care fellowship at Loma Linda University. It's a big sort of a wellness hub. And then I had the opportunity to do my sleep medicine training in Boston at Harvard. And a lot of what I'll be sharing with you is like a culmination of all of the things that I've learned over time through the thousands of patients that we've taken care of. And I think everything is science-backed. There should be, if there is no reference on the bottom, that is my opinion. If there is a reference on the bottom, that is the opinion of somebody else. Okay. Another quick disclosure. I'm a co-founder here at a company called Empower Sleep. It's a sleep care program, platform, virtual clinic that helps people all across the globe receive best-in-class sleep care that is personalized to them using their sleep biomarkers across time. Think of it as a cloud-based clinic that provides personalized sleep care to patients who have a sleep disorder using their sleep data on a daily basis. Okay, so if you've traveled to at least to the United States and I know other places across the world, you'll recognize this picture. And this is a picture of Disneyland. And it's a beautiful place, quoted as the happiest place on earth. And if you go there in the morning, it looks something like this. The streets are just pristine and clean. It looks, even though it's over 50 years old, it looks brand new. And this is despite millions of people attending it per year. And every day it gets beaten up and worn down. And the only reason it looks like this every morning is because there is a whole system of processes and operations that are going on in the background that you and I don't see. When it looks closed on the outside and the doors are closed and there's a sign that says we're closed, there's a whole team of people on the back end doing a whole host of things that go from cleaning the floor to cleaning the windows to painting the walls and trimming the bushes so that it can look like this the next day. So this whole restoration and rejuvenation that happens at night in the form of maintenance at Disneyland is what allows it to look like this. And I love this metaphor that I learned from one of my attendings. For humans, sleep does the same thing. So like this idea of longevity, this idea of rest, of recovery and rejuvenation, it's essentially impossible to do if there is no process in place when sleep serves as the process for us to get to this every morning. We wake up in the morning, we beat ourselves up, work. Sleep, this 7 to 8 hour window is the opportunity where this housekeeping process for our physiology can happen that mitigates pathology, restores us back to baseline. And if this happens well on a daily basis, then our lives will be better. Today, I'm going to talk to you guys about the impact on sleep and longevity. On the impact of sleep on longevity and overall health, we'll talk about some practical tips, strategies to improve your sleep, the science behind some of the cycles in recovery, a little bit, and this again is very like high level because each of these things is like easily a 1 hour lecture each, and we're going to spend just a few minutes on this so that you can get a flavor of what this looks like. So sleep and longevity. If there's one slide that you want to take away today, it's this one. Let me walk you through this. This is looking at all-cause mortality in East Asian men. On the x-axis, we have time, and on the y-axis, we have hazard ratio, or the likelihood of mortality, the likelihood of dying. And what you'll see here is people who sleep too much, for whatever reason, or too little, for whatever reason, have a higher likelihood of all-cause mortality. And this is from a massive data set of 320,000 people across a mean follow-up of 14 years. So this is like legitimate size data sets. This is also true, this like U-shaped relationship that you see. This is also true with this low sleep duration, high sleep duration, and cardiovascular disease in men. So people who sleep too much or too little for whatever reason is associated, not causal, associated with higher mortality from a cardiovascular standpoint, a higher mortality from all-cause mortality standpoint. And, you know, if we think about the idea of longevity, so much of longevity is the mitigation of chronic disease. And chronic diseases being hypertension, atrial fibrillation, depression, mental health disorders like anxiety, depression, dementia, metabolic diseases like diabetes. So this same U-shaped relationship also happens in hypertension, where if you sleep too much or too little, the association with hypertension is higher. If you sleep too much or too little, the association with major depressive disorder, anxiety is all higher. Okay, and this is again like thousands of people across time, and this is also true with dementia and diabetes. So there is no sort of conflict about this, that too much sleep or too little sleep is associated with all of these chronic diseases, and part of longevity is the mitigation of all of these diseases. So sleep is a foundational component to our overall health. So I was asked to talk a little bit about sleep quality. So what does that mean, right? Everyone is most likely familiar with the idea of sleep duration. You have probably heard of this phrase that, hey, you need to sleep 8 hours. It's actually a range, 7 to 9. We use the average, the mean of 8. In children, it's about 10. But I want you to think about this a little bit beyond just this 8 hour. I need to sleep. I have to hit this target of 8 hours. Good sleep quality also means sleeping during the right time. What does that mean? Like, we have a biologic day and we have a biologic night, meaning there's a body's daytime and there is a body's nighttime. For most people, the body's nighttime should coincide with the nighttime outside, and the body's daytime should coincide with the daytime. The body's daytime should coincide with the daytime outside. And a good example of a misalignment of this is jet lag. So if you travel from California to Singapore, I would be jet lagged, and there would be a misalignment of my body's body clock and the external local time zone. So sleeping during the biologic night is a part of sleep quality itself. Like, when you sleep, what is the quality of your sleep? So sleep should be a rest and digest state, not a fight or flight state. So the higher the parasympathetic tone during sleep, the more important that is. That ties into sleep architecture, where having healthy sleep architecture, an age-appropriate proportion of light sleep, deep sleep, REM is critical. And then lastly, we talked about sleeping is not a passive process. There's a whole bunch of physiologic processes that are happening in the background when someone is sleeping. I think there's a slide on this that will show you from the standpoint of like what's happening to blood pressure, what's happening to heart rate during sleep. It should be dipping, it should be dropping. blood flow to the brain is highest during deep sleep. Urine production should drop, growth hormones should spike. All of these different things should be happening during the window of sleep. So when we talk about this idea, at least, again, this is my opinion here. To me, high sleep quality means sleep that is free of disease, meaning there's no sleep apnea, no insomnia, no restless legs. It is at the right time, meaning it is during the biologic night, and it has to be for the required duration. If I just ran a marathon today, I might need to sleep more for a longer period of days versus if I'm relatively sedentary for a longer period of days. So the sleep that is free of disease at the right time for the required duration, undergoing the processes of the biologic night. This is what, to me, in my opinion, is good sleep quality. So a little bit about sleep stages, how they're measured usually if in a lab, looks something like this. And so, these electrodes that you see that are on the scalp measure brain waves. And the more awake you are, the more sympathetic predominant physiology is running in the background. The more deep sleep you are in, the more parasympathetic predominant physiology is running in the background. And you can see that deep sleep is very different from a sleep wave standpoint as compared to being awake in REM. The interesting thing that I want you to note is light sleep, wake, REM look very similar. The only difference in REM is that there are rapid eye movements that happen, hence its name. But awake and light sleep, awake and REM look almost the same. They look very similar from an autonomic nervous system standpoint. And the other thing that you'll notice is when you look at these sleep stages across the night, there is more deep sleep in the first part of the night and more REM sleep in the latter part of the night. So what that means is if you sleep 3 hours a night, even though you might get enough deep sleep, you are robbing yourself of a disproportionately larger amount of REM. If you sleep 7 hours, you will still get this. You might still get the same amount of deep sleep, but you will get more REM sleep. So, so the reason I point this out is how much sleep you consume results in this difference in distribution of sleep stages across the night. And this distribution of sleep stages changes over time. So when I see a patient who is 75 and says, "Hey, Sahil, I want to have 50 or 20% deep sleep," and it might not be physiologically possible because they're from an aging standpoint, our whole body ages, sleep 2 ages, and the big things that change is slow wave sleep, deep sleep, N3, stable sleep is what drops off over time. But stage 1, stage 2 are relatively the same. Stage 1, goes up over. There's more light sleep as we get older. REM stays about the same. Deep sleep drops, and we are more awake in the middle of the night. So when we look at sleep data for somebody, we have to understand what is it? Is it appropriate for their age? And so here's an example of a young person. You can see how sleep is consolidated. There's not a lot of wake periods. If there's any young people in the crowd, your sleep should look like this. If you have a wearable device, your sleep should look something like this. Stage 4 does not exist anymore, so I showed this just for the purpose of illustration. This is as we get older. You can see that there's more choppiness, more periods of wakefulness during the night. There's less deep sleep, much less deep sleep over the course of the night. And sleep is more fragmented with more periods of wakefulness. And any idea what this is? I mean, this could be someone who has very severe sleep apnea, but in this example, this is actually a horse. So again, sleep is different for humans and different species. Everyone sleeps different. This would be a separate lecture to chat about. Sleep testing can happen either in a lab or in a home. So, and these are all the signals that are obtained. Eye movement, brain activity, oxygenation, chest movement, breathing, abdominal movement, limb sensation. These get plotted over the course of the night, and second by second, somebody or some software looks at this to score what this is, and accordingly we decide what to do. Come up with a report. So let's talk very quickly about, I know we're getting close to time, so I'm going to go through this a little bit faster. So sleep and cognition. We talked a little bit about the functions of sleep. I think you'll find this very interesting that functions of sleep, these are the physiologic processes that happen during sleep. So time is on the bottom, 1400 to 1400, this is a 24-hour window. What is in red is sleep. And you can see during sleep, body temperature drops. During sleep, urine production is at its lowest. Brain flow is at its highest. Why this is important? We believe that with higher brain flow to the brain, particularly during deep sleep, there is more lymphatic flow, and therefore there is more filtration of beta amyloid. Beta amyloid accumulation is a precursor. It could be a precursor to the development of Alzheimer's dementia. So sleep is like very closely tied with cognition and memory and brain health. You can see that during sleep, blood pressure is at its lowest. You can see during sleep, melatonin level is at its highest. You can see during sleep, thyrotropin is at its peak. And you can see during sleep, growth hormone should be higher. Okay, so during healthy sleep, good sleep quality means that these processes are happening during the night. And only during sleep does this process of restoration happen, both in the body and the brain, memory reinforcement, mood regulation, and there's a whole bunch of other processes that we don't completely understand. So how do we optimize our sleep? The way I'm going to invite you to think about this is through the lens of either we need to optimize physiology or we need to mitigate pathology. And what does that mean? That means that if someone has like sleep apnea, we want to address that and optimize that, or any other sleep disorder. And we would do that with any medical grade device. Or we want to optimize physiology, and that can be done either using medical grade devices or these pretty cool consumer grade devices, rings, watches, bands, etc. And the way we want to optimize this is first we need some baseline data. We cannot optimize anything without any objective data. So you want some baseline information about your sleep health, either with a consumer grade device or a medical grade device. If there is consistently low sleep quality that is pathologic, that is concerning for some sleep disorder, you definitely want to use a medical grade device so one can diagnose what's going on and what's the root cause. But assuming there is nothing like that, then we need to perform structured experimentation to understand how do these external environments, behaviors, supplements, medications, how do they influence my sleep on a nightly basis? Alcohol, food, breathing exercises, meditation, a cooling mattress, like all of these things influence our sleep in some way, but we want to sort of figure this out in a structured way so that we can go from bad sleep to better sleep in a relatively quick fashion. This is the sort of cycle. You test, track, obtain data, you analyze those, you understand them either with the help of your doctor or someone at Empower Sleep or yourself. You intervene with something and then you optimize. So that's the sort of structured cycle. And if you're using a medical grade device and you happen to be using the one at Empower Sleep, it looks something like this, where you receive a ring, you test, every morning you receive insights. These are medical grade sleep testing insights, are very different from like an Oura Ring or a Whoop or a Garmin. It'll tell you about what's your objective sleep quality, what is your apnea index, if you do have sleep apnea, how fragmented is your sleep, what are some of the sleep stages, with a medical grade level of accuracy. And then with insights using an AI engine, we can give you guidance on what's going on, as well as the ability to connect with a doctor, a coach, a nurse practitioner, who can then prescribe and guide of what would be the best solution for you. And again, optimize, iterate, and we build a stack together. So, in summary, healthy sleep is not a byproduct of any magic pill. It's a iterative process, understanding your physiology, implementing different things to see how that influences your physiology. And you need to measure this during the period of time. This could be measured either with a medical grade device or a consumer grade device, but it needs to be measured. And there's no magic pill. And so healthy sleep then becomes really a byproduct of restoring physiology and mitigating pathology. And the way that I would invite you all to sort of think of this is, what are some of the general health conditions that could be resulting in a reduced quality of sleep, pain, medications, chronic conditions? what behaviors do I have that might be contributing to bad quality sleep? Am I exercising at the wrong time? Am I eating at the wrong time? Am I consuming caffeine at the wrong time? Am I consuming too much alcohol in the evening hours? Am I consuming too much screen time that is influencing my circadian rhythm? All of these behaviors need to be, at least somewhat optimized. From a mental health standpoint, like what can I do to just relax, wind down, manage my stress, breathing exercises, meditation, whatever that is for you. And if there is a sleep disorder, we want to address that. I didn't have enough time to share this, but people who have a sleep disorder we cannot make their sleep optimal. So mitigating any pathology that could be driving this, and then also optimizing sort of our circadian rhythms, sleeping at the right time for the right duration with proper light exposure, or the absence of light exposure in the evening and the presence of light exposure upon awakening. As you probably have heard many people say, the temperature needs to be cooled. There needs to be moisture in the air that does not cause nasal congestion. The bed needs to be comfortable. One needs to be able to breathe through their nose, and no allergies from a nasal pan standpoint. And then if all of this has been done, then we can explore like supplements like GABA, theanine, magnesium, and there's a long list of these. Then we can explore. If we've done all of these basic things, then it makes sense to explore things like peptides and so forth. So, start with the basics, improve your general health, improve your behaviors, improve your mental health, make sure there's no sleep disorder, make sure there's healthy light and dark cues, make sure your environment is awesome. And then after doing all of those things, if things are not then you can explore. And this is all supplements and peptides. This is sort of assuming that there is no sleep disorder. We can explore those, and there's obviously medications as well. So, in summary, sleep is a critical lever for longevity. In my opinion, probably one of the most important, including like exercise, nutrition, and mental health. And, sleep can be optimized for anybody. The only thing is it needs to be tracked using some kind of a device. And then we make iterative changes over a period of time, sort of these controlled experiments, to then understand what works, what doesn't work, so that this can be optimized over 3 to 6 months. Thank you so much, guys, for your time. Again, I missed being in Singapore. We just quick, plug to Empower Sleep. We just launched a Instagram and YouTube channel, so please do follow us. Please interact with us please ask questions. That is the one place where we're going to be making a whole bunch of educational videos and content to answer all the questions that you have. The handle is Empower Sleep. And if you have any questions, please send me a message on LinkedIn. My name is Sahil Chopra. I'm one of the sleep medicine physicians here, and pleasure to meet you. Bye-bye.
Our sincere thanks to Dr. Sahil Chopra for his thorough explanation on sleep science.